Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. In today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you what is on my new M4 Apple iPad Pro. I recently upgraded and I want to share what I have on my new iPad. And I thought I might go ahead and share the few accessories that I have purchased specifically for my new Apple iPad Pro. So if that is of interest to you, then please keep watching. So this is my iPad Pro. Love it. It's an 11-inch. I was living life on the edge and I did not have a case, nor had I applied or even purchased a screen protector. But since we last spoke, I have at least applied my screen protector. So I am currently using a matte screen protector and I just applied it not long ago. I don't really see a huge difference in the screen quality. I guess I just wanted to kind of live with this new screen and, you know, the tandem OLED display and all of that for a good bit before I potentially diminished the actual display by adding a matte screen protector. But I have gone ahead and did that because honestly, I like to carry my iPad around kind of just freely without any kind of front cover on it because I don't have a case that covers the front cover, and I knew that I would not be able to continue a life like that without maybe scratching up my screen, and so I can't be bothered with the thought of doing that. This is too expensive to let it get all jacked up, so I decided I would apply a screen protector. So I will have this linked down below. Next up, I did purchase a Magic Keyboard, and so this one is specifically for the iPad Pro, the new one, and the 11-inch one. And so I've already unboxed this and talked about it. It's the one you get from Apple. You know, nothing much to see there. It just magnetically attaches, and well, I say nothing much to see there, but it's actually really cool. But it just magnetically attaches, and I don't really carry my iPad like this. So this would serve as a screen protector, but I don't really carry my iPad like this while I'm at home. When I'm working, of course, I will, but I'm not working right now because it is summer break. When I do not have my iPad inside of the Magic Keyboard, I have this clear case that I purchased from Amazon, and I'll have it linked down below as well. And it fits perfectly, and I feel like it still keeps the iPad pretty lightweight. This is obviously a pretty lightweight iPad, and it still keeps it pretty lightweight, but it's definitely far lighter without the case. And then finally, of course, specifically for this iPad, I had to upgrade to the Pencil Pro. So I have the Pencil Pro here. It magnetically attaches, and it will magnetically attach if this case is on it, if this case is off, if the Magic Keyboard is on it. So it magnetically attaches no matter how you swing it. Of course, I do have some pencil covers and all of that, but honestly, I have not really tried to use those because with the new squeeze feature and all of that, I am not sure that they actually will be compatible. I know my harder covers will not be, and I'm not thinking that any of my other covers will be either. So as for now, I am actually just using the iPad pencil as it comes, and I haven't even changed out my tip because I have just been using the tip that it came with. So this is my Apple iPad Pro. Now let me take you on a little tour of what's inside of my Apple iPad Pro. Okay, so this is my lock screen, which is just a photo of beach water basically. And I do have two widgets up here. I have my calendar widget, and then I also have my motivation widget. So going right into my iPad, we are looking at my home screen, and so I'm going to show you this and just kind of what this is comprised of. So first of all, up here, the 2024, this is a widget. I use the app Widgetsmith, which is free, and in Widgetsmith, you can actually create a bunch of little widgets. I have done a tutorial on this before, so I'm not going to do a tutorial right now, but basically you can add, I don't know how many widgets you can add. I normally just honestly delete them if I think that I want to change them out, like if I think it's too cluttered, but I'm assuming you can just add as many widgets as you want. So we have small widgets, we have medium widgets, which is what is on my home screen, and then we have large widgets and extra large widgets. I do not use any extra large widgets. So you can add widgets to your home screen, and even you can do some customization for your lock screen, but I don't do anything with that. So yeah, this is how the Widgetsmith app looks like. You would just click add small widget or add large widget, whatever size you're trying to add. And then there are a lot of features in here that you can play around with. I don't do anything with those. I just go to the photo and then I choose from photos and then I will upload a photo. So let's just bring in a photo of, let's say this, which these are not my dogs. I just think that they're cute. But so you just bring in your photo and then you can adjust it. You can pinch to zoom and it's adjusting here at the top, as you can see, and then you just save it if that's what you want. I don't want that, so I'm going to press cancel. But that is Widgetsmith. This is also Widgetsmith, the beach vibe. I thought that photo was cute and went with my June aesthetic, so that's what that is. Below it we have another widget, but this is actually an app called Flip Clock, and I'll share with you a little bit more about that momentarily, but that's a widget. And then over here we have my Google Calendar widget, and then we have another widget, and this is through the Motivation app, which we'll talk about in a minute too. So that's an app of its own. That's what we call the Motivation app. And then the two under the time are just small widgets in Widgetsmith. We then have Canva. And I use Canva for literally everything. Literally everything, but mainly I use it for my thumbnails, but I also use it to create other types of graphics. I love Canva. So we have Canva on here. We have the weather app on here. We have LumaFusion, which is the app that I use to edit 100% of my YouTube videos. I am going to be editing this video using LumaFusion as well. It's a better experience when in landscape mode. We also have GoodNotes, which of course is Chef's Kiss. This is the app that I use for digital planning. So we have my digital planner here, and this is a planner that I created. Let's just go to the beginning of the planner, and this is what my planner consists of. I have a yearly overview, upcoming plans, a vision board, weekly schedule, which is like an ideal weekly schedule, and then all of the months of the year. And within those different months, I have different sections. And so let's go into April, because I feel like I liked April. Was this the month that I really thought was cute? I think so. So this is my GoodNotes. We have all of the months at the top, and if you click on any of those, it'll take you to the month in this planner. Similarly, if you click on 2024, it'll take you to that front page that we were just on. And then this is my calendar. So this is where I plan all the things. And then I have a little notes section at the bottom. I have a dashboard. So I put on here typically goals and tasks for the month. Then I have my weekly sheet, and this is where I plan on my week each and every week. I use the same spreadsheet, and I do have different templates. So I make my own digital planners. All these sheets that you're looking at are ones that I created in Keynote. And so that's my other week. And then we have my mood board. So I create a mood board each and every month, and I like to make it cute. And then I have an April reflection each and every month. And then also I typically have an April notes page, but if I do not use the notes page, I just delete it so like my planner is more seamless. So when I'm looking at it at the end of the year or whatever, if that's what I choose to do, it's cohesive and there aren't blank sheets in here. But that is my digital planner. We also have a work section which houses some work information. Some of it is confidential, but mainly it's just any kind of consent forms that I have parents sign. Those are in here. I have lots of resources for coping skills, activities, and social emotional learning activities and such that I do with my students in here. I normally, after I have like a confidential piece of information added in here, I will then add it to our electronic record system, and then I'll delete it from here and from my iPad altogether so that I don't have confidential information. And I did not check before I started this, so we're just not going to go in there, although I feel like we probably could and it might be safe, but we're just not going to go in there. I also keep notes in there if I'm in a meeting and I don't have my physical planner and I just have this. I might take notes, stuff like that. So it's basically just a bunch of work stuff. The random folder has different freebie planners and just random stuff in here, like tax information. I use this iPad as my computer because I don't have a laptop, and so I have W-2 information in here and 1099 forms that I have to fill out and send to brands and stuff like that. So basically this is just random stuff. And then my my final folder is my sticker book folder, and in here I have all of the stickers that I have acquired. So that is GoodNotes. That's kind of the heart and soul of this planner. We also have the App Store, which is self-explanatory. I feel like we don't need to go into that. I keep it on my home screen though, specifically because I do update my apps pretty much every day. I don't have my apps being updated automatically because I want to be able to control that, but I do normally click in here every day to see if there are any apps that I wish to update. We also have my notes section, which is actually pretty, it has a bunch of information in here. Let's see what we can go. Let's look at our summer bucket list. This is our summer bucket list. These are some places that we want to go and things that we want to do. We got a pedicure today, so we can check off that. But this is our summer bucket list, and I actually do a lot of trip planning in here. I planned our Miami Beach trip in here. I planned our family reunion in here. I put other random notes in here, so it's actually pretty packed with a bunch of information. And then we have photos, which is self-explanatory, and then we have Notion, also another core part of my iPad. If I were to turn this in landscape mode, it would be a better view, but it's kind of all cram-packed in here right now because of the view that we're in. So let's just go to books, because that tends to not look that bad when in portrait mode. So this is where I keep, it's like a book journal. It's where I keep track of all of the books that I've read. And actually, while we're here, let's go into, okay, I didn't even put it in here. I recently went to a book event and I was gifted The Coworker by Frida McFadden. So what I just did is I went ahead, we read that book so fast. We read it in 2 days, my husband and me. But what I just did is I duplicated The Teacher, because that is also by Frida McFadden. And so what I'll do eventually is go in and change the cover photo. And then for the rating, I'm gonna give it a 4-star rating. We started it on June I think we started it on the 8th. Yeah, that's when I went to the event. And then we finished it on the 10th, yesterday. Nonfiction, also a thriller and suspense. I don't know how many pages it is, so I'll have to update that. But basically then what I will do is I will go and grab that and bring it up to where it belongs. And I read that after The Gifts of Imperfection. And so again, I'll have to update the cover photo and the amount of pages. And the reason why I do that is this little book journal actually keeps track of all of the pages that I've read. So I have to enter in manually the amount of pages in any given book, but it does show me like a running total of how many pages in books that I've read and all of that fun stuff. So this is my book tracker in Notion. I do our monthly budgeting in here. I do goal setting in here. I keep track of business stuff in here and health. I do meal planning stuff in here, workout planning. This is pretty much the hub for my life. So at the bottom, I don't really use Safari a whole ton, but I do have Safari on here. I am more of a Google girl, so I use Google Chrome as my main browser. We have email. I do use this as a computer, of course, so I am checking and responding to emails on here. I just got 2 emails, so we're not going to open the email because I don't know what's in there. We have files because I use this a lot. Again, I use this as a computer. So when I'm importing content, I'm importing it into my files. Anything that I download goes to my files. I have folders within the file section that are, all of that is kind of like confidential stuff. Otherwise, I would show you, but I keep track of basically everything in my file section to include CEUs for work and trainings for work. I keep track of my resume in here. Like, it's a very organized situation. So that is the files, and then settings. And I do go into settings quite a bit. That is why it is down here at the bottom in my dock. So if you swipe to the right, then you have all of the other apps that I have on here. I have a ton of apps on here. They are all organized. I cannot share with you details about every single one of them, but as we go through them, if there are any that I actually happen to use quite often, I will point those out. So going into suggestions, well, we're not going to go into that. That one's kind of self-explanatory. We already went into those, and those are popping up because those are some of the recent apps that we opened. So going into recently added, well, we're not going to do that either because that's also one of those folders that the iPad just creates for you. The actual folder that I've created is the productivity folder, so let's go into that. So you can see the ones that I don't use often because they have the little cloud with the down arrow inside of it, because those are offloaded. So we have the calendar app, which comes with the Apple iPad that I do not like, so I use Google Calendar. We have contacts. I don't ever use this. I'm not on here FaceTiming a bunch of people or whatever, or texting people. I don't text from my iPad or anything like that. We have Docs, which is Google Docs, which I do use quite a bit. We have Files, which we talked about, GoodNotes, Google Calendar. Keynote is where I actually create all of my planners and my templates, and this comes with the Apple iPad. So this is just a couple of the daily schedules that I recently created. These are 3 different ones. And so whenever you want to export this and actually use it, you just come up here and press export and send, and then I will export it and then send a copy of it to my GoodNotes. And that's where I do all of my annotation and note taking and all of that. We have Mail, we have Notes, Notion, Reminders. I don't use reminders at all, ever. Shortcuts, I don't use shortcuts. And then Widgetsmith, we talked about. I do use Microsoft Word on here because I do use it as a computer. So when I'm editing documents and stuff like that, I will use Microsoft Word. And then these are just other apps. Honestly, most of these apps are on my phone, and I do use some of them on my phone. I just simply do not use them on here. Like Microsoft Outlook, I do use Microsoft Outlook for work, but I simply just do not use it on here. I just use the Mail app because I have my work email connected to the Mail app. Okay, so going out of there and going into utilities, Apple Store, Chrome, Clock, Find My. I don't really use that on here, or the Clock. We have Good Fonts and iFont. I have used those a good bit in the past. Those are apps that you can use to download free fonts to your iPad or your device. So I have a lot of fonts already installed on my iPad that I got from those apps, but I don't frequently go to the apps to look for new fonts or anything. Magnifier, I don't use. Measure, I don't use. Safari, I told you I don't really use. Settings, and then voice memos. Oftentimes I will use voice memos, and that's mainly for content creation purposes, like if I'm doing a voiceover. So next up we have creativity. I don't ever use my camera on here. I do use Canva. I don't use Freeform, even though it's on here. Sometimes I might use my Panasonic image app. That allows me to basically use my iPad as a larger screen for when I'm shooting content. I don't really use it too much, but oftentimes I will, download it, and then once I'm finished with it, I will offload it. And the purpose of offloading for me is so that I do not have all of these apps taking up space on my iPad. I occasionally will use InShot to edit a short form video. I use it a lot on my phone, but I don't really use it on my iPad too much. And then the rest of these I don't really use. Going into business, I do use Zoom pretty much. It feels like every day, every week I'm using Zoom. And then the rest of these, Teams I will use for work. I do use Teams during the school year, but otherwise I don't use any of the others. Going into entertainment, don't use iTunes Store, don't use music, don't use podcasts, don't use photo booth. The only one I use out of here regularly is Amazon Music. Going into other, I do use the motivation app. You can download this from the App Store, and there will be a new motivational quote that pops up every single day. And you can also change it to show you different quotes throughout the day, so multiple quotes. You can also change some other things, but for the most part, I just let it do its thing. You can pick the category of quotes that you want it to show, and so I have done that. And then I do use Pinterest a good bit. I will come in here when I am trying to find photos for my lock screen or whatever. I'll come in here and download different photos. So I do use Pinterest a good bit. Ooh, I like that social worker one. Look at Squidward. I guess you can tell kind of what I look up by looking at my Pinterest board. Okay, so going out of other, those are just random ones that I didn't really feel went into any other category. Going into information and reading, we have Flip Clock, which I do want to show you. This is what it looks like. You can change it and edit it. You can purchase the app and then you can get access to other features, but I simply don't have that. I don't use Podcasters. I will use the Holy Bible when at church, but mainly I will use that on my iPad mini. Oh, this isn't Flip Clock. I just lied. This is called D-Clock. So that's what that's called. I don't use books. I don't really use Kindle and I don't really use Libby, but I do use those on my iPad mini, but I don't really use those on here, but occasionally, but not really. Social, I don't use any of this. There's no point even going in here. What do I use? None of this. I use FaceTime, Messages, Messenger, and Instagram on my iPhone, but not on here. Travel, I don't use any of this on my iPad. It just happens to be on here. These apps are downloading, unfortunately, because I'm apparently not clicking in the right spot. I don't use any of those. Games, the only game that I have is Spades, and I do not use that on my iPad, but rather on my phone. For finance, that's all of our banking information. I don't use any of that on my iPad. And then we also have shopping, and there's just 4 of them, so we don't have to click inside of it. I will use Amazon on here when I am doing some online shopping, but otherwise, I don't use those other apps. So that's all. I just have my main screen here, and then if you swipe right, and then if you swipe right, I do have my app library, which has all of the apps on my iPad. But I thought that I would, even though I just said I don't use a bunch of them, I still thought I would share the apps that I do have on here, even though I don't really use them that much. So those are all of the apps that I have on my iPad. I absolutely love my iPad. I am literally obsessed. I just wanted to share what I have on my iPad. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, give this video a like, subscribe if you're new and if you're liking what you're seeing, and I will catch you guys right back here in a few days in a brand new video. Bye guys.